Hey everyone, Honest Chewy here. Hopefully everyone's doing okay. And I'm going to be reviewing a Shudder original horror comedy called Vicious Fun. And before I get into it, I got halfway through my review already. I've done, and my camera cut out, so I've had to start it again. So I'm just gonna start how I was starting it. And it's pretty much it's like a 80s sort of theme to it. It's got like an 80s slasher theme. And I'm going to jump in really how it starts and just make way across from then. Let you know what I like, what I didn't like, and why I think it was a letdown to me. First of all, main things I like about the movie is the soundtrack and the look of the title opening screen. Um, and then I'll get into what I don't like as I go on. But yeah, I do like the 80s theme and the 80s soundtrack. So it opens up with our one of our main characters. There's two main characters technically. Carrie, and she's in like a gas station, like an 80s gas station, and it's all 80s aesthetics. And she gets in this guy's car, asking for a lift. Gets in, and she's dressed very badass in this. By the way, she's got like fingerless gloves, leather jacket, jeans, boots, dead 80s badass look. Like stereotypical badass 80s person. Anyway, she gets in his car and I think this is dumb. Like, either she knows he's creepy and he's going to kidnap her and she's going to, obviously kill him, or this is just going to be a generic dumb character, but she didn't look it. Like I say, she had dark eyeliner on as well, a lot. And he gives her the creepiest look, locks doors. She just flips out a knife and just kills him to this 80s beat. And then the title screen comes on, an 80s theme, and I'm like, yes, this is my movie. Okay, I'm watching this. So, start watching it, and it cuts to Joel, our main character. And he is a journalist, and he is interviewing a guy who did this. Like, when the title screen ends, it shows this clip of like another movie. It looks Texas Chainsaw Massacre, his head's coming everywhere and stuff like that. And this horror director, gore director, in other words, but it was 80s. And he'd have a recorder, he's asking questions, you don't think you can do better, like he knows how he can do better. He's just like, jobless, how he's portrayed, struggling to get guy type of, struggling to get guy? Whoa, struggling to get by type of guy. There we go, that was a tongue twister, that. Struggling to get by, that type of thing. Although it doesn't really show much of his backstory. Nor do I care about him or his backstory after I've just seen that woman. Anyway, does that, and he's realising he's not getting anywhere. So he goes to a bar, has some whiskey, and get introduced to Bob, who comes in through the door, which is the blonde guy who's the cover of this movie. Have a drinks with him, have a chat, not buying the chemistry at all. Bob's just a douche, and he comes across as, just this nerdy guy who they wouldn't gel in general. Bob leaves after having some whiskey. He says to the barman, Joel says, "Oh, I'll have the bottle," and he goes, "Oh, it's not expensive, is it?" to the bar guy, and goes, "Oh, I don't care if it is. I can afford it." And I was just there like, "Why ask?" And then the bar guy goes, "Well, this is why I asked it," because the bar guy goes, "Well, it doesn't matter. It's all on your tab anyway, so you better be able to." And he's like, "What?" And Bob, who left, said it was all on his tab, so Joel was paying for everything, and he looked surprised. Joel looked surprised, and I was like, "What were you expecting? If someone comes in, has a few drinks, and walks off without putting any money on the table, you're paying for their drinks, especially if they're pally with you. It's the first time you've met them." Anyway, he gets bladdered. This is Joel, and he goes to ring his girlfriend in the movie. Well, we say girlfriend. It's not his girlfriend, but it's his love interest in the movie, and she's called Sarah. Goes to ring her, bumps into Carrie, and he has a glass of whiskey in his hand. And I didn't quite pay attention to what they were saying because I switched off because it went slow from the intro. Like, when he was interviewing the interviewer guy, the horror movie director guy even, it went on for like 15 minutes. The bar bit went on for like 10, nearly 20 minutes. And you just sat there like, I want to see some kills, some gore, and some comedy. It wasn't funny. Anyway, bumps into her. She steals his drink out of his hand, next it, walks off. And I like her, because she's the one I'd rather it have focused on. Anyway, back to Joel. Rings Sarah, has a little la la la. Vomits on the phone thing, so it fries. And he passes out drunk. And then he wakes up and he goes to this meeting. And they're circled around. And you look and there's a wrestler called the Great Khal. He's in it. He's been in loads in his class. He's called Mike in this movie, which is funny. Obviously, we've got the guy who likes to hunt people. I forgot his name. I totally apologise. Guy likes to hunt people. And he starts chatting about how he's killing people. And you just all of a sudden like, what? Why is he in a circle of these? There's them two. There's the Chinese guy with knives. And there's a creepy clown-looking doctor guy, and he likes needles and hammers. And Carrie's there as well, like sat round, and he's just like chatting away, and he's going, "This is Joel, trying to fit in it." And Mike's going, "Oh, fun my last kill was, And Joel goes, "Well, I'm a taxi driver. I kill people, and he goes, "Well, they're like, how? Not buying it. A taxi driver, like that face." And he goes, "Well, I can go location, kill, and location." And then Mike just goes, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense, yeah. And then all of a sudden, Bob walks in. And obviously, they've already met the bar, and Bob's just like, "Yeah, so this is what you do." And all hell breaks loose because he foils his plan. Joel gets found out he's just a journalist. And then you start thinking, "Oh, yeah, he's just going there so he can get more horror ideas." Okay. And all hell breaks loose. Carrie... No, wait. Back up a minute. Before you see Carrie again, he gets cornered by all of them. And the one who you think's going to be the main one, which is the hunter guy, says, "Right, let him loose, we'll hunt him down, I'm in charge, blah, 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 blah." And he just gets skewered through the neck as he's saying it, and it's very brutal. And then the Chinese guy, whacks him down, and the doctor guy, creepy clown guy, flings a needle in his eye, right? Yeah, very brutal, very grim. I was like, okay, I'm buying this. But bit of a waste of a character, because it would have been good to see what he did, but he was just there to die. He's also out of Final Destination 4, gets a spanner hit at him and the oil on him, it's him. It's him. Makes sense why he went out brutally. He seems to go out brutally in every death in movies he does. And so that happens. Joel gets dragged into the kitchen by Carrie, and she locks the door. And he's like, "Oh, don't kill me. And she's like, "I'm obviously not going to kill you. I would have by now." Anyway, it goes slow from there. It's just like, the reason I don't like Joel, this is what I'll get into, is the kitchen bit. They're in the kitchen. She's explained how she's already took care of a guy who he's interpreting. Joel got in there by interpreting the guy. I don't know if he was a taxi driver, killer. Might have been, might just been him. Anyway, and he's just like shocked that all of a sudden he's found out and they want to kill him. Fair enough, I can buy that. Then he goes to the freezer, and she opens up the freezer, and she says she took care of, I think it's called Peter. Anyway, says she's took care of him. And he gets an ice cube out of the freezer. Now, saying this, there's taps, there's the fridge that will have drinks in, but he grabs an ice cube, puts it in his mouth. Yeah. Oh, and she goes, "I wouldn't do that." And he goes, "Well, I'm parched, I'm hungover." And I'm just like, you know what's coming. And anyway, there's guts in the freezer. That is Peter's in the freezer who she killed. I'm calling him Peter. And he spits out the ice cube like, "Ugh," and I'm just like, oh, God, you are so dumb. And he's the main focus. Anyway, when she's in it, it's good. They start talking on, and it goes slow again. They're whacking on the door, trying to get in. And the Chinese guy opens up the vents and crawls through the vents. Knives in his mouth, crawls through the vents, drops in, goes to kill Joel, and she has like a machete. And the doctor guy, clown doctor guy, gets his hands through. And I don't know how. Somehow he gets his fingers through the door, and she just machetes them off, right? Hence why I like her. And then the Chinese guy, his death is very disappointing. Just a heads up before I'd say about his death. Goes to get Joel, goes to stab Joel, gets strangled by this, because his intestines in the freezer, by them, and just gets strangled. That's it. Anyway, they get out. And the police burst in. Now, Joel does do one thing, but it's very dumb. Pulls fire alarm. And she just looks at him like, "What the hell you done?" And the police come in. But before the police arrive, Bob, the main guy, the blonde guy, I'm like, oh God, he was horrible. Rings up the police, says, oh God, oh, I'm murdered, you know, acts like he's the victim. And the police come and arrest Joel and Carrie, and they're in the police station, obviously generic. Cops, I do find one thing was quite funny, because it was set in the 80s, all the cops had moustaches. They all had the same moustache, and I don't know what that was, but they all had moustaches. Very fake moustaches. Some looked real. Anyway, all the cops, 2 of them douchebags, 1 of them just a wimp. And anyway, they get you know, he gets one phone call, Joel, and he has to tell him everything. Carrie's not telling them anything. They already know about Carrie. He tells them about what happened, the murderers, you know, blah blah blah. Cut that, he gets his phone call, and of all the people he rings, guess who he rings? Yeah, Sarah. And she says, I'm coming straight down. He goes, no, I'm coming down anyway. She ends up going down, setting off to go down there. And while this happens, he gets put in a cell with Carrie, gets put in a cell just across from each other. And as that unfolds, the killers drive there and enter. Well, one of them enters, Bob. And he's dressed... bloody hell. He has raincoat on, no, he has a suit on, red tie and a fake moustache, right? Obviously fake moustache. And it goes in the police station. I'm making this movie sound better than it is, but this bit was quite funny. Because he has a fake moustache, to instantly believe he's a cop. and anyway, he walks past him and Joel's like, there's a killer, blah, blah, blah. And the cops are like, no, he's one of us. Anyway, they're in the office and he's chatting to them in the office and he's just drinking whiskey with them like nothing's happening. And one of the cops, the wimpy cop, gets picked off by the clown guy. Hammers a nail through his head after injecting him or something. And it's drawn out, it's rubbish. And then there's a shoehorn bit of one of the douchey cops turns on, you know he's going to die, you know they're going to die. And goes, oh, I wanted to see my wife. No, I can't wait to see my stepdaughter, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, yeah, and he goes, you know, obviously the one with the moustache, like, well, if you don't get killed, then the blonde guy, and you're just like, oh, God. Anyway, and he mentioned something about a duck as well. I can't remember. I don't know what he's on about ducks for. Anyway, he wears a raincoat. The blonde guy gets the sergeant's coat and puts it on and just messes on. Anyway, power goes out. So the guy who says he doesn't want to die goes down into the creepy basement to check. Looks at the box, wrecked, and Mike, the guy who's going for... he has like a welder mask on, and he has a machete. So it's like a Jason Jason Voorhees sort of vibe going, and he's massive too. This guy's built, and hacks him with a machete, hacks his hand off, and then he dies. He bleeds out and dies, and you're just like, yeah, right. And as that happens, the guy with the fake moustache, Bob, stabs the cop with 2 pencils in his ears. The kills are very cool, but they're a bit downed, like the Chinese guy's one was down, like strangling intestines, but then they picked it up a little bit. Anyway, you get stabbed with pencils, and he pulls the pencils out, and he just bleeds out his ears. And then one moment there. Oh, I did it right that time. Last time, right, I do apologise, I'm quite groggy. Last time I did that, I paused the video, it ended. Oh, thank God for that. Right, I'll continue. Pulls pencils out, see blood coming out of his ears. And then it goes to the basement, and Carrie has a fight with Mike, okay? And he gets, like, she fights him, gets the machete off him, whacks him in the neck with it, right? And you think, oh, he's dead, and he just pulls it out and starts swinging it. It's like a proper, like, machine anyway. Then she gets the machete and stabs him loads, and he dies. He's dead. And it's just the doctor guy who's creepy, clown doctor guy who has a little clown bit there, and he's weird, he's really weird, he crept me out. The actor's very good, because he crept me out. And he's obviously only got a finger, so he flings needles like that now, because the 2 fingers are left of him coming off, so he's flinging them. And Sarah comes into the movie, and bumps into creepy Dr. Clown guy, and you think she's just gonna get injected, and it's gonna be a save the girl. And oh my God, no, she whoops his ass. Like, he goes to touch her, she just whoops his ass all of a sudden, like beats the crap out of him. Pretty much just knocks him out. Anyway, Carrie and Joel run in like, oh. And Joel's like, the fighting lesson's trained off. And I'm just like, oh, God, Joel, shut up. I really didn't like Joel. Only Joel I don't like, because I liked Last of Us Joel. I really didn't like him. And pretty much Carrie then goes over to the table, pushes it on the dock and spats his head, which is a cool death, gory death, brutal. So it's just Bob, them three, that's it, right? So they go to escape the police station, they get in the van, and they go and Bob stood in front. And they run Bob over. And obviously, I know he's not dead. And they go to the hospital because... No, back up a minute. Carrie gets stabbed by Bob. So they walk her out there. She goes into the hospital because they have a fight and Bob gets the knife and stabs her. And we find each other, get in the van and run Bob over. That's when they run Bob over. My apologies, my heat has mugged me off. And they run Bob over. And you can see he's not dead. And it's a very long camera zoom thing, which I find, a little bit annoying. But goes to hospital. She's obviously laid in bed on drips, her wound stitched up, she's fine. Joel and Sarah having a chat, and I'm like, right, so Joel's, obviously, Sarah's going to get with Joel. And anyway, he gets up and he just leaves, he goes in the room, and lo and behold, Bob is there dressed as a doctor. Yeah, the doctor mask, the white doctor coat on, and he just pulls the mask off, and he's just like, right, I'm going to kill her, and he's dragging his foot along because he hit his foot. He did break his foot. And Joel follows these bloody footprints, which he's leaving. And it's a final showdown, and obviously he goes to stab Carrie. She grabs him, they have a tussle, they have a fight, and he's reaching for this knife the whole time, and he gets the knife, and she twists it into his gut, stabs him like a lot of times, like the intro, which I found quite good. Anyway, he gets stabbed, and he's still alive. Because Bob doesn't want to die for some reason. So she gets the knife, stabs it in his eyeball, right? And this is quite grim. You can see it's a fake eye, but you'll see what's coming. He pulls it out. Oh, his eye comes out, and and I'm like, you're still alive. Still alive. Anyway, he falls down, splats pretty much, and drops the knife and dies. And I thought, as much as this is grim, a little bit of a satisfaction because it showed the eye would have been carried, because it would have been in a character to stomp on the eye. But that's just me being grim. I've watched too many horror movies. And it turns out that Joel loves Carrie and then decides to be her partner. Goes in and they're hunting down people who are horrible. Like, she has a list. She had a list in the movie. I missed this bit out, but it's irrelevant. She loses it anyway. She has a wrist and she's... Wrist? Well, she has a wrist. She has that too. She has a list and she's ticking it through, and that's why she's there, to kill them, to avenge a family getting killed or someone she knew getting killed. I don't really know. And like I say, the movie, don't get me wrong, the bits that were good are the bits I've just said, and anyway, it ends with him going, I'll say the ending, it ends with him going in a shop, 80s shirt, flowers, vest, and he has a bloody moustache and goatee, and, still a wimp, pulls the axe out, and a little gimmick at the end, because she flings an axe at the guy, because she has a girl tied up in the station. And they're going around hunting down these guys, and that's the ending. And there's a little gimmick where she flings an axe at him. And he pulls the axe out, and he and then gets in the car, and she goes, well, you're sick? And he goes, no, because he froze up. No. And she went, you barked? And he went, yeah. Anyway, and it ends. And I've got to say, the movie itself, like, when it was ending, I was like, God, that was long. I felt longer than it. Like, the average 90 minutes, 80 minutes movie. Bloody 2 hours. Literally 2 hour long movie. No wonder it felt dragged. And it was dragged. Like, don't get me wrong, as a whole, it's like, it's bad. But it's also worth a watch. So don't be put off by me being thingy with it. Like it's worth, even knowing it, it's worth watching it. But it's not, like, obviously for me, I was like bored. I could see the director was just dragging this out to make it a 2 hour movie. Maybe get a bit more money out of it. I don't know. Anyway, that's Vicious Fun. It's a Shudder original. And it's a horror comedy. So feel free to check it out, really. And like I say, there's a couple of actors that pop up who you might recognise. And really, I'd give it about 6 out of 10. If it was based on Carrie, I would have gave it an 8 out of 10. It just would have been a slow pace of it at the beginning and slow bits of it that sort of ruined the whole sort of fast fight bits. But in the stories, just yeah. So yeah, that is my review on it, and hopefully you've enjoyed it. Feel free to give this video a like. You can't dislike it. Hey! And still don't like, you can't dislike videos. And I hate right now YouTube's new comment system. It's terrible. Like, it goes on the side where your videos are now, doesn't it? The recommended videos. Bad. Yeah, so feel free, give it a like. Hit that subscribe button. And I will be doing some more reviews on a few other movies. See you in the next one. And it's Hughie going out. Bye!